Udah mulai.
Oke, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So, good morning, everyone. We are from the KBI Group. We'll present our inception report in Capstone Design Project Environmental Structure with vital enhancing environmental resilience in industrial buffers, multi-sectoral infrastructure design for disaster risk reduction. With our member is Firman Firdaus, who cannot attend this presentation due to sickness. And then Hanif Fitra Akbar, Mugati Gusron Effendi, and myself, Muhammad Aslam Syafaq. So, next. So about our project location and context, our location and Capstone Design is in Matahari Kasang, Batayani District, Padang Pariaman Regency, Inggris, Sumatera, with geographical significance which are situated between Padang City and northern areas in Bukit Tinggi, and also close to the Minangkabau International Airport. And for the key topography, it features the meandering Batanganai River on the western side, creating a floodplain lowland area. For the land use, it's rapidly changing due to massive scale industrial zone. For example, for PT Java Concrete and PT Jarum Pokpan and the dense residential settlement. And then this is the map, the administration map of our area in the Batanganai. You can see this is the our area. It involves industrial area in the Kasang area, and then for the top left there is some residential area. And this area characteristic is industrial residential interface with a near river bank and have heavy truck access corridor, and also especially in the industrial area is flood prone. And next. And then this is the disaster prone area for our research area in the Kasang, which indicates the area is really prone disaster from the BNPB data in our location. Next. Then for the next part of this presentation will be explained by Ani.
Okay, so the next slide shows the problem that we found in the survey during the survey in the location. So the tile will be shown in the next slide. Next slide, please. Okay, first for the drainage and hydrology, there are several problems that we found, including undersized or blocked drains and debris accumulation at channel or bridge. Also, some area have no drainage. Then road and industry in higher area and houses in lower area with no drainage at all. Also, flood prone spots near to the river. Next. The next for the solid waste. So this area still lack of TPS. The figure shows the road slide fields. The problem including open burning practice, drain blockage reach, and also factor breeding potential due to the waste not treated well. Next. Still in the solid waste. So due to the absence of TPS and for or landfill location, the resident using unofficial landfill site, and the site still doing open burning practice. Continue, please. Next slide, please. Then for the air quality and noise, the dust emission from damaged roads and truck traffic, and also smoke from waste burning, and there is also continuous industrial noise that potential to respiratory and stress impact. And the last one is for the water supply. Next slide, please. Okay, for the water supply. So PDAM service is interrupted during the floods and causes the quality decrease during heavy rain. This is the current situation in the area, and in some of the residential area, the water from well is turbid. Also, PDAM service and tend to failure due to maintenance, and residents resort to the other sources that environmental health risks and also lack of water supply. Next part will be continued by Muzaki.
Okay, this next slide shows the data for the community health profile. So health data was collected to understand how the environmental affects the local health population. So the information is really important to identify disease patterns related to the environmental factors. So we have 4 data, October 2025, which is pre-disaster phase, and then November during peak phase, and also December, and in the January is the recovery phase. And then our finding is that the waterborne and skin disease is increased sharply. So in the during and peak phase, the diarrhea case increased by 72.4%, which is high, and also due to the skin infection increased by 72.3%. So this increase indicate contact with contaminated fluid water and poor sanitation. And then our findings also find that there is new cases, which is varicella or chickenpox. So the disease did not appear in the October, but it is appear in the during peak phase. So we can conclude the community health shift from a stable baseline to a higher risk condition after the flood event, and then environmental sanitation and drainage performance strongly influence the disease incidence. And we also have data for the wind direction. So based on this finding, we can conclude that the dominant wind direction is east and west pattern. So in the October, the wind mainly came from the east and northeast. And in the flood season, it is shift. In the November to December, it shows more winds from west to the southwest. So west and southwest winds carry industrial dust from the Padang Industrial Park toward the residential areas. And then smoke from informal waste burning also moves toward the central settlement of the Nagari Kasang. So it can risk to the health impact, increased exposure to air pollutants, and higher respiratory illness case reported in the local health facilities during the same period. Okay, so by that, so we have objective of this capstone project is to develop an integrated environmental infrastructure to addressing water, solid waste, air quality, noise, and health to enhance disaster resilience and minimize the health risk. In the water sector, we conceptualize the drainage improvements and debris control to reduce the flood risk. And in the solid waste, we plan to design TPS3R facility to mitigate open dumping and open burning and the unofficial landfill site. And in the air and noise sector, we propose a green belt design to buffer industrial dust emission and noise. And then in the environmental head, we design a rainwater harvesting system as the environmental intervention. So it is for emergency water supply and that of control. And also conduct ARKL and HIRA-DC on multi-sectoral design. So we will also conduct like budget cost, DED, and then feasibility analysis and sustainability analysis. And then for the team structure, for Lutfi is in the water sector specialist responsible for hydrological assessment, drainage design, and debris control. And then me, Muzaki Gusman Effendi, as an environmental health specialist in charge of health risk identification, rainwater harvesting system design, and safety integration. And Muhammad Aslam Musyafa, which air quality and noise specialist, focus on pollution dispersion analysis and grade belt mitigation design, collected and compiled wind pattern and environmental data for dispersion assessment. And then Hanif Fitra Akbar is solid waste specialist, tasked with estimating waste generation and designing the TPS3R facility. And then in the method of data collection, I think will be explained by Aslam.
Okay, so the next is for data collection framework. So from the data, we have several data collection. First one is the study area, which is the flood and landslide prone zones in the Nagari Kasang of the Batang Pariaman, which is located in the Batangan watershed. And for the temporal scope is for the baseline is from October 2025 and earlier. And the disaster phase is from November to December 2025. And the recovery phase is January 2026 and later. For the purpose is to establish environmental baseline condition and then identify environmental stresses affecting the community and also provide data for multi-sector analysis and infrastructure design. And then for the survey of observation, which are the data needed by mapping of drainage condition, location, road condition, and also the waste accumulation point, and also identification of potential site for TPS3R facilities with rainwater harvesting systems, and also green belt development, and also identification of areas exposed to dust, environmental noise, and landslide risk. For basic field measurement is by measurement of drainage geometry and channel dimension, and then environmental noise measurement using a sound level meter at roadside and residential location, and also observation of infrastructure condition and site photographic documentation. Next. For community-based data, we do community interview and discussion for the information on flood history, including the flood depth and duration, and then water supply disruption during the disaster period, and also solid waste practice, including open burning. And then for questionnaires is for household water consumption pattern, and then waste disposal behavior, and also sanitation and hygiene practice. And then after that data, we also have a secondary data sources for health and environmental data is from BPJS top 30 diagnosis dataset using ICD-10 codes to identify climate-sensitive diseases with rainfall intensity and seasonal pattern from BMKG Minangkabau and 16 station with PM2.5 and BMT air quality data from the National Monitoring System operated by the Ministry of Environment and Forestry. For the special and technical data is for land use map digital elevation model and soil characteristic for runoff and landslide analysis with population data, growth projection, and waste generation estimates with regulatory references for technical planning standard for drainage, DPSTR facilities, and rainwater harvesting systems, and environmental policy framework, including law number 32/2009 and government regulation number 26 of 2025 with infrastructure and utility planning documents from the local government agencies. Next. So the first one is the method for the water engineering, differentiate by several stages. The first stage is by identification of the problem and data gathering. For this stage, the section delineate the parameter of the problem and specifies the ammunition, and then doing literature review and preliminary observation, and then acquiring the secondary data and also the daily precipitation data from CHEPS satellites data from 2010 to 2025 with also using land use map for the land cover and then topographic map for the land catchment area boundaries, and also if possible using primary data collection for the measurement of the dimension of the drainage stage. And then the next stage is by hydrological analysis by converting the figures in 100.65 millimeter and its associated data from the historical records, and then doing a data extraction and also statistical parameter computation, and then probability distribution selection, and also goodness of fit test. And next. Then the next stage is the hydraulic analysis, which is the calculation of runoff discharge by converts precipitation into water that flows of the area of the chosen area, which is 3.3 kilometer square, and then determination of watershed characteristic, and then calculation of time concentration with rain intensity calculation by transforming the design rainfall into monthly or hourly rainfall, and then designing the flood discharge calculation using the rational method. Then the stage 4 is assessment of the current system by addressing the inquiry, and then calculation of the existing channel opacity, and then discharge comparison if the design is better than the existing discharge. And then the last stage is the mitigation engineering strategy with the culmination of the technical design, and then determining the alternative solution, can do a retention pond on or adopting green infrastructure, and then infrastructure dimension design by assessing the necessary storage capacity, and the last is the design drawing by developing a sketch or detailed engineering design. And next. And for the next part will be explained by Hanif.
Okay, there's the methodology and analysis approach for the solid waste management to estimation of waste generation based on population data and determination of required capacity and service coverage of temporary storage 3R facility. First, for the data type and sources, there is two kinds of data, which are primary and secondary. For the primary, the data required are waste generation data, waste composition data, and existing waste management practice, which got from the waste sampling based on National Standard of Indonesia 3964/2025 and survey to this study area. Next, the secondary data. Some data are required, including population data, regional and administrative data, environmental infrastructure data, and the other supporting planning and policy document which got from the Indonesian Central Bureau of Statistics and also the local government. Next. Next, there are some sampling equipment based on the Indonesian national standard that required for the waste generation sampling, including sampling bags and the other waste density measurement tools. Next. Then for the frequency based on national standard, it's at least carried out 3 days, representing weekday, holiday, and peak of waste generation day. Next, please. This is the step for the measurement based on national standard. Start from the distribute the plastic bags and then recording, weighing, also collect all measure waste sample into the tarpaulin, and the last one mix all waste sample until homogeneous. Next, please. So the criteria for selecting waste generation sampling location divided into 2 categories, which is household waste and non-household waste. In this study, the sampling focused on household waste because the study area is resident settlement. The slide shows the criteria for the household waste, including the welfare level, income, connection capacity, and also type of the housing. Next, please. Then the data analysis technique. So several formulas used for the analyze the data. Start from the calculation of in individual samples that require the number of individual samples that require total population in the study area, and also acceptable error level, city classification coefficient, and total population in the study area. Next, please. Okay, I think we after got the number of individual, we calculate the samples of the house, the required data of proportion of economic level in the study area, and the number of sampling households. Next, please. Then several formula also used to analyze the waste generation. This require the result of the calculation of waste generation on day 1, number of sampling day, and then the economic levels. Next, please. And then the total is calculated by function of the economic levels. Next, waste composition calculation is calculated by total weight and volume of the each waste type and then measured and expressed as a percentage. Next, please. And then this design criteria and reference standard for the solid waste management, including the national standard for the measuring municipal waste generation and composition, and also regulation for guideline for disaster waste management, and the last one, the temporary storage 3R technical guidelines. Okay, next, continue by Muzaki.
The next is the air quality and the environmental noise assessment and methodology approach. So for the air quality and environmental noise is by identifying major cluster noise sources from the industrial activity and heavy vehicle traffic, and then estimating the pollutant dispersion moving one direction, and wind speed data to identify the downwind impact area, and then conduct short-term environmental noise measurement at selected sensitive location, and then evaluate the result using applicable air quality and environmental noise standard, and also assess the conceptual effectiveness of green belt vegetation as a barrier for dust and noise reduction. And then in the table, we can see some monitoring point and the parameter. For point 1 is the entrance, is the air quality data collection system, which using obtain data using secondary data. The method is from the historical or agency data. Duration is using the full historical data set with the standard reference from SNI 1999. And then for the point 2 in the residential age, point 3 in roadside, and point 4 in factory area is for the noise assessment. Is from primary data using zone level meter, and the reference is using the SNI 2001. Then for maybe that's all for the air quality and noise method methodology. And the next will be explained by Mujahid.
So this is the methodology for the environmental health risk assessment. So this test utilized a retrospective morbidity study to perform a comparative analysis. So we already have the data as in the existing condition before. So we have top 3 of diagnosed retrieved from the local healthcare clinic Amana. See table 2.1 in section 2.3 within the area of influence. So the study is categorized into 4 distinct disaster phases: baseline, which is in 2025 October, onset and peak, which is in November and December, and then recovery phase in the 2026 in January, to track shifts in community health status. And then we will do correlation mapping. We identifying the spikes in the climate sensitive disease, specifically A09, which is infectious diarrhea and other types of diarrhea, and L23, which is allergic contact dermatitis. And then we will do validation. We applying a reality check by correlating the clinical data with physical environmental condition observed in the field. And then we will do mapping the contaminant. We modeling the movement of the pathogens from field drainage and sanitation system to human receptors, or in other likelihood, or in other maybe like in the air. And then the risk determination, we integrating epidemiological findings with exposure assessment to determine the severity of public health risk. So some of the equation that we will use is the delta M, which present the morbidity percentage. As you can see, equation in the here. So M peak minus M base divided by M base times 100% to know the percentage change in morbidity. And then other, like the big paradigm of this study. So we will do issue identification, hazard assessment, exposure assessment, and then after we have done the two things, we can characterization the risk and we will have the risk management. For now, we still in the hazard assessment in hazard identification. And then the methodology for rainwater harvesting. So first we have to prepare under literature review, which already done. And then data collection. So we primary data like household survey, roof area measurements, which can also buy secondary data by using the satellite data. And then in the secondary data is 10-year daily rainfall to know the influence or the design rainfall, because this is rainfall the source. And then hydrological and demand analysis. And then we will also determine the storage tank sizing and simulation. And then after we conclude like the place or the objective and etc., we will have the detailed engineering design and also the treatment. We also consider the beside filtration, we also consider disinfection, maybe like ozone or the UV, and then final design and documentation. So for the water balance is you can see in this figure. So we will have design rainfall and then peak rainfall intensity in liter per hour, and then the runoff discharge from the roof and influent discharge to the collection system, treatment system, and end user. And the equation that we will be used first is hydrological baseline to establish the multi-year rainfall observation. So we will search for R24, which sigma RY tol P divided by N. And then we also calculate the rainwater harvesting potential using the formula of sigma Q is C times R24 times A. So C is the runoff coefficient. The likely we will use set in 0.8, and then R24 is this, and A is the area of the roof. And the next is the HIRA-DC. So the purpose is to managing the operational risk during the construction of environmental infrastructure, all our integrated environmental infrastructure, including water, solid waste, and air and noise. And then scope, it covers all civil and mechanical works, including site preparation, excavation, and utility development. And then we will have the risk of matrix, and we will determine the risk score by L times C. So L is the likelihood in the scale 1 to 5, and the C is consequence severity of impact on health in the scale 1 to 5. So you can see matrix here. So if the matrix is, you can see in the table for the division of the matrix, for 1.4, it's conclude low. So the mitigation is just routine procedure and basic PPE are sufficient. So we use the hierarchy of risk management. And then in identification phase, we will do systematic logging of threats for every plant activity and hazard categories, physical, chemical, and biological agent with focus. And then the implementation schedule, back to moderator.
Okay, thank you, Zaki. Okay, so this is the implementation schedule. So maybe that's all for our presentation from our group. If there is, I apologize for any mistakes. I'll end it with Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.